Hello, welcome to Demo Disc by This Podcast Cannot Continue. Today I'm looking at Age of Empires 4. And first off, I just want to note that what I'm trying to capture here is essentially my very first impressions playing the game. Besides just being aware from a couple of trailers over the course of recent things such as like E3 and other showcases, I have been aware that the game was in the works and would be released. However, I did not pay close attention to many details of like if the developers have been talking about their aims for the game or anything like that, so I know very little about it. And also, in order to facilitate showing like a first impression of the game, I have not actually even launched the the game client on my PC yet until this very moment. So we're literally seeing the startup sort of sequence that the game will put us through. And right off the bat, I got to say that's a good first impression to be offering these kind of settings right away, because for the people that need them, for some of these settings, it can be very difficult to even get to the point in the menu where you would turn these on if it didn't present these at the start, right? So already, cheers to the team at Relic, and I guess, is it Relic and Microsoft? Relic and Microsoft? I think that's right. Okay, moving on. Please calibrate your display. The logo should be barely visible. For my purposes, on my display, this looks completely fine exactly how it is, so I'm going to leave that. And we have an intro video. Or it's probably just the title screen has a little animation to it before it pops. We'll see. Okay, it is some kind of an
Driven
intro
from their
video.
homes by armed invaders, a few hardy refugees face the prospect of starting again.
Or this could just be straight up launching
They
into a
would found a
tutorial.
new village deep in the countryside.
Alright, so you're going to immediately notice that some UI elements are missing because it launched straight into
With a
gameplay.
new settlement established,
And I am still in ultra wide, so let me... Now you guys can see the interface.
was gathering from nature.
I also am just going to turn the game down ever so slightly for you guys. Alright. Food source. So the first thing it wants me to do is the classic assign a villager to food. Let's just assign all three of them. I thought for a moment that these patches around the town center were farms, and I was like, why did I start with farms? But it appears that it's just part of the kind of the scenery. I am also liking that we have the middle click movement, because even Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition does not have this type of movement. And after spending a couple of years playing Dota, I have to say that this is how I prefer to play, to control and move the camera in an RTS game, which is middle click and hold. Arrow keys, whatever, it's too much of a reach, and I don't like rebinding to WASD because I like to keep those binds available. Screen edge, not my preference. This, absolutely my preference. So happy to see that that's on and available by default. So
With
it looks
a healthy
like
supply of food, the village could start to grow.
So it looks like
To
we
do
have
so,
some
it would need more hands to share the work.
objectives. Okay, so it's gonna tell me to make villagers. Looks like Q is the keybind for that. What is the keybind for selecting my town center? Ah, okay. H for home, I suppose. I'm assuming it's gonna have me build next.
The new workforce could now turn to the growing village's needs. First, they would build a mill near their food source,
Right.
so villagers could drop off gathered berries more easily.
Why is there... It's not that big, right? Why does it have an extra square around it?
Next, the growing village would need wood to build with.
Of course. Am I going to be allowed to make a lumber camp or something? Not yet. Appears not yet. So just to give a little more background as well, I'm not what you would call like a heavily experienced and like competitive RTS player. I don't have a background playing these games in any kind of ranked or competitive fashion. I've always played them in my childhood quite casually. So, I would say don't expect like me to already be investigating like crazy build order or strats or anything like that. It's just not really my wheelhouse. I think it'd be really cool to learn an RTS and have that kind of approach. And I think it would be really great if this game gets a lot of developer support and develops a competitive scene, because I know that AoE 2 has been thriving in the recent couple of years. So it'd be really cool to see, you know, like I said, a new kid on the block. Because I think the last time, other than AoE 2 experiencing a resurgence, I feel like the last time we had a really competitive RTS was StarCraft 2, and that's starting to feel like it was a long time ago now. Like that game has to be, I think the base game has to be like a decade old now, right? I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. So I have high hopes that this game could both inspire me to take RTSs more seriously and possibly be like a kind of a new competitively viable game. Let's see if I can shift click to build multiple, just like in, yes I can. Another thing I saw online was a lot of people were kind of calling the game cartoony. And in particular, I do see that the NPCs have like a very low detail aesthetic that is more modeling than texturing work, if you see what I'm saying. But I still don't, like, I would never call this cartoony.
Place, even more villagers could join the workforce. But a populous village would soon exhaust the natural food sources. To grow,
already did.
The community needed dedicated farms.
Okay, it's gonna have me build farms. And I built 5 when it only wanted 3. Sorry, tutorial lady.
Woodsmen and farmers now kept the village well supplied.
I like that she's narrating as if this is like a historical
Further
record.
growth required knowing the countryside and finding more resources.
You see what I mean?
For
She
that,
speaks in past tense.
Communities employed scouts.
I think the thing that I like so far is that things like shift queuing movement that I just did, again, the middle click camera movement, things like that, they're making me feel immediately very comfortable. You know, I like, this is my first time playing this game, but I already sort of feel right at home, and I think that's great. Do I have the reseed farms option? No, we don't. What is this? Farms with an influence.
A well-placed camp ensured efficient gold mining.
You see that? Mill influence, generating enhancement. Farms with an influence have 15% harvest rate. And you can see that these all have a plus on them when I click the mill. That's good. Now I know what that like kind of aura is. And then I have idle villagers. I do like that idle villagers have this ZZZ like dozing off kind of effect on them. It makes them really easy to spot.
With a good supply of gold, the village was becoming a large town.
I feel that the visual style, like I mentioned earlier, that some people kind of wanted maybe a grittier, darker, or more, yeah, I guess there's some more realistic, maybe, presentation than this. But I've got to say that I find maybe gameplay-wise, I prefer this visual style because I think that it lends itself to more easy kind of readability at a glance. Abbey of Kings, religious landmark. Heals all nearby out-of-combat units by 2 every 1.5 seconds. There was something kind of similar to this in Age of Empires Online, which was sort of a live service Age of Empires game that, as far as I understand, wasn't very successful, but you would build a specific building in order to advance ages instead of just researching it at your town center. I don't know what to think of that. I guess it's fine. I mean, it's a lot better than saying you need to like feudal age buildings to get to the castle age or whatever, right? The building animation is all like kind of scaffolding and these sort of like time-lapse shadows of people building. It's kind of an interesting look. You know, I like that. Okay. Learn to use spearmen. I expect I'll probably be building a barracks.
Would be constructing a barracks for infantry.
Classic. Can I make these group 1? Yes, I can.
The invaders had blocked the road north with a stout palisade. Although spears were of little use against these walls, the militia could burn down the obstacle with torches.
Participate. I wonder what the hotkey for idle villager is. I think it's like comma or period in default AoE 2.
What hair, sir?
You can also, yeah, you can also double click to get all units of the same type. I have a feeling it's gonna send me out here.
With the road open, the militia could now reclaim their lands in the north.
Was this not accessible? That's really weird. Is this just...
First,
oh, I think... You know
the
what?
spearmen had to deal with a lone sentry.
Use attack move. You know, I'm thinking that it's preventing me...
Advancing aggressively, the militia eliminated the enemy sentry.
Yeah, I think it's preventing me
Invaders
from
had a
moving
small
because of the
cavalry camp
tutorial.
guarding the road, but the militia was ready to attack.
I kind of enjoy the UI design here.
Spears were highly effective against cavalry, allowing the militia to win the day. All that remained was to destroy the invaders' stables.
I definitely prefer... I like how they don't attack with their spears, but instead they torch it, which is like more realistic to what you would do. Because I think AoE 2, they just attack with like whatever weapon they have. So you have people destroying buildings with swords. I guess maybe one criticism of the tutorial is it does feel like it's operating at a really slow pace. As you can see when I went and tried to build a stable down here, just based on the like the kind of text context clues, I'm sort of getting ahead of it a little bit. I'm gonna make 2 control groups here, 1 for my spear people and 2 for my cavalry. And I believe I lost my scout in that last little engagement. Oh, that's cool. So I could have just selected both stables, and that puts, what, 1 in each, right? Or do I go like this and it alternates?
The town now had a
It
rapid light
alternates.
cavalry, skilled at harassing slower targets, such as archers.
What? What did you just say? I'm gonna kind of have these guys come over here and hold.
A final enemy emplacement remained, one fortified with palisades and defended by spearmen.
Okay, how many of these do I need? 20? Wait, where are my farming villagers anyway? What is going on? Did I accidentally make... So I see what this does. It doesn't queue all 3 at once when I press it once. It just starts doing them in a spread order, which is good. And exactly what I think it should do. I have to say that so far my impressions are good. But I feel that I haven't really got into like some real meat and potatoes of this game yet, so it kind of remains to be seen.
Could eliminate enemy spearmen at a distance.
This zooming is something that when I'm starting to get more serious about the game, I suspect I will turn this off. It's really cool for just enjoying the visuals and stuff like that, but gameplay-wise, I don't want to accidentally be like here and I don't have a full view, and I haven't really realized that I accidentally scrolled in at some point. The White Tower acts as a keep with all the behaviors, technologies, and bonuses. So I guess civilizations will have a the generic version of this is a keep, but sort of the each like civilization will have sort of their own like proper name for it, I guess, which is fun little flavor to take. I think it would be wise to build a building like this quite forward, especially if it has offensive capabilities like an AoE 2 castle does, but I don't want to wait for a villager to go all the way up there, so I'm just not going to do that. Interesting. The White Tower. I really want to see what the finished building looks like. Tall. Are these people over here picking berries? Yes, they are. You know, one of my favorite things to do back in Age of Empires 2 was to just make like skirmishes where it'd be like me and like a CPU ally.
Refugees had founded a small village. Now rose
narrator speak.
A mighty city. From
I think this is the end of the tutorial.
Grow an empire.
Yeah, it is. Good. Yeah, I would play like a lot of skirmishes with me and like a CPU ally against like 2 CPUs on like islands or something like that, largest map size, and just like spend hours on like one map instead of like playing like a more competitive size map and situation and like going like doing like a fast build order and like trying to win early. I would just try to build like the biggest, like multiple of each building, like just a huge, like populate the whole island. It's like, what am I doing? It's like not really playing to win, is it? So this is cool. Learn Age of Empires 4, complete 5 Art of War challenges or Norman campaign missions. So it's suggesting to play campaign or do Art of War. It sounds like the campaign will introduce concepts, but this Art of War will be more focused like tutorials on gameplay concepts. So that's interesting. And it wants me to funnel straight into those, but I have the option to skip to main menu, and I think I'm going to do that and just poke around this menu. So single player, multiplayer, group. This is my profile. Evidently, I'm level 4. Links to Steam and Xbox Live profile. Evidently, my Xbox Live profile is not linked, but I have no problem doing that. I might go ahead and do that. Let's see what's under community. A letter to the Age community. Read more. Okay. I don't need customer support. That opened a browser tab to the Age of Empires support page. Featured, new to Age, social. That's cool. I did join their Discord, by the way. Learn, tech trees. Explore tech trees for all civilizations. So are these the civilizations? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 civilizations to start with. Presumably there will be expansions to this game in the future if it is successful. I think that would be good. Guide to hotkeys. Is this also a browser link? It is. I'm assuming, obviously, I could just review them. Well, here, yeah. I can review them here. View and remap controls. Yep, that's fine. Looks like there's a lot of different settings. Game duration timer, I like that. I think that should just be on by default. Why would that not be on? I guess immersion. We got graphics options. It seems to have mostly set me in like kind of medium and low. Cool. Yeah, I'll take a deeper look through that for my own purposes later on, but it's nice to see that there's a pretty reasonably expansive settings menu. I'm just going to take a very quick look at tech trees just to get an idea of how much there is in this game. I like the vertical display. What I expected to see was like you have to scroll horizontally, this huge wide thing like in Age of Empires 2, but this I think is more concise. It's not showing me units though, but I suppose if I click, there we go. There they are. Yeah, see? Okay, yeah, so look, proper nouns, right? So this was Abbey of Kings, and this one is, it looks like there's 2 options here, and in the tutorial they only gave me the White Tower. This looks like it's sort of like a secondary, town center. Yeah, look, acts as a town center with all the behaviors so far. So economic landmark, and then this one says defensive landmark, acts as a keep, right? That's cool. This seems like a pretty good spread of of civilizations to start with. It's not very many. That's the one thing that I find is actually kind of interesting. It's not very many. Whereas in the past, like, AoE games have typically had a lot. So bonuses are a lot of the kind of things you would expect them to be. I can see that it's like you can build a unit and age early. You can garrison relics and other types of buildings. I'm assuming normally this is only like the, what do they call them? Cathedrals or whatever? Monasteries. Thank you. Thank you, me, for reading the name. And yeah, it looks like each one gets 1 or 2 unique units. So this is very, this kind of goes back to what I was saying to Colin in a private conversation, which is that it really appears like the developers have tried to stay very, very close to what Age of Empires is historically as a franchise. And I think that's a really good thing, because I think if it was too divergent, there's just a lot of risk of it, like, maybe not being a great game. And I think personally, like, I wanted a game that was going to be really true to what the franchise has been in the past. So I want to see if I can set up like a skirmish and just sort of look at what the settings are. Okay, cool. There's presets. So it's the same thing. You you can set up teams. You can set up civilizations. So I can add an AI player. I can choose the difficulty. I can choose like what they are. You know, I can force team 1 and team 2. Map setup. Okay. Tuning pack? It'll be interesting to see what that is in the future. Okay, you can turn off Wonder as a win condition. Sacred. Landmarks. Wonder. Destroy all enemy landmarks. I think that means like town centers, castles, landmarks. All of that's classic. There's not tons of options here, though. Play without win conditions. That's interesting. Map setup. So yeah, we have, okay, not a huge spread of maps, but same thing. You know, hopefully like updates and stuff will bring us more. Oh, cool. There's little icons that give you an idea of what the different maps have on them as well. More wood than usual. Terrain where shifts and elevation provide advantages. Let's check it out. Oh, and I just saw crafted maps. It seems like this also might be coming soon because I cannot click it currently. But so generated maps are like, this is like sort of a set of parameters that the system will like randomly generate a map based on, and this will probably be like fixed, like hard-coded maps, like kind of what we see in competitive AoE 2. You can adjust the biome. Oh, cool. So the map and the biome are 2 separate things. So even though this is Dry Arabia, I don't necessarily have to play, like I can make it like winter, taiga winter. I can make it all kinds of different things. That's very cool. I really quite like that. I know in the past we actually talked about RTS in a past episode where we discussed how to like revive a genre. And we definitely talked about RTS, and I think I mentioned Age of Empires 4, so it's nice to see it out, and you know, it's here in front of us. It's kind of it's go time, right? So yeah, really optimistic. Okay, cool. So now that I'm playing, you know, like a real match, the first thing I see is I do have a full array of buildings. I can essentially see into the future of buildings here. And I like what I see. This looks like a pretty like regular spread for an Age of Empires game. Yeah, looks good. Oh, cool. Look at this. This is a nice feature. So beside my resources, I can click a button that brings me to my villagers who are on that given resource. I like that. Oh, look, now I have an option. Remember, during the tutorial, it only gave me one option. So this is cool. I can decide whether I want to do... Yeah, so this was the building I built in the tutorial, the healing one. And then over here, it looks like I can produce longbowmen at a bonus speed. So that's great. I don't have enough resources for either because I have to find some gold. But I guess I can get started on that right now. Oh yeah, cool. There's like tech researches and stuff like that here. So other than just taking out a brief look at skirmish mode and being able to see like, oh yeah, look at all these upgrades too. being able to see all these kinds of upgrades. I think this is about where I'm going to call it, so I will pause this game, and I'm just going to say thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in Age of Empires 4 or have anything that you want to say about it or anything that you want to tell me or educate me about on this game, because like I said, I wasn't following development, so I don't know much. Everything I've seen has been quite a surprise so far. So, well, I mean, a surprise in the sense that I hadn't seen it already. Not so surprising that it's staying close to its roots. I think that's the right choice. Game looks good. I'm very excited to continue playing it and for its future. Yeah, so if you have anything you want to share, please reach out to us on Twitter at TPCC_podcast. If you're watching this video, you've already found our YouTube account. Main podcast episodes are also here on this YouTube account, and you can listen to them in audio formats on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as Amazon Audible and like any other streaming services you might use. We've been uploading to as many of them as we can. And besides that, just thank you so much for watching.